I trust everyone enjoyed your dinner. We've been so grateful for the Black Hawk staff and the way that they've bent over backwards to ensure the success of our evening. And as you can imagine, it takes a myriad of volunteers and donors and sponsors to make an event like this a success. I would like at this time to draw your attention to the back cover of this evening's program, which lists the many sponsors and donors that have prepaid the cost of this entire event. By sponsoring tables and providing the centerpieces and donating the wine, these generous contributors have enabled us to invite and host you free of charge. Now, what does that mean? It means that all donations that we raise tonight will go directly to help AIDS orphans in Uganda. If you know any of the businesses or the individuals listed on the back, please thank them personally for their contribution. And will you also join me in a round of applause for all of the sponsors, donors, and volunteers that have made this event possible this evening? Tonight we're talking about changed lives. Michael Essrig is one of many whose life has been changed by the work of Children of Grace. Michael described himself as a skeptical participant on his first vision trip to Uganda with Children of Grace. Let him share with you how the orphans of Uganda changed not only his personal life, but his business and his profession as well. Michael, welcome.
Thank you. I was asked to tell a little story, which is going to be a little bit longer than we anticipated probably because I have a little bit more to tell. But I do want to start off with one thing. And it's going to sound a little crazy, but just bear with me because it's going to lead to something. Menopause. This is not comic relief, but the definition of menopause is a mental condition typically found in men in their mid to late 50s, brought on by the realization that old age is just around the corner. I define it as the 50-yard line of life. So to bring this all around, I was stuck on the 50-yard line of life. 53 years old. I was sitting there one night with my wife, sitting in my big house, on my big couch, watching my big TV. And I was contemplating my navel when I looked up and I saw Simon Cowell and Ryan Seacrest on American Idol Gives Back. And they were in Uganda talking about malaria and mosquito nets. And I woke up and I said, oh my God, that's it. Mosquito nets. That's all I have to do. And I can do something to help save the world. And I looked at my wife and I said, mosquito nets. Let's buy them. Let's do it. She said, I'm in. So before I wrote the big check, I did think about a business associate of mine, Jeff Land, who many of you know who he is. He's associated with the Children of Grace. And I called Jeff and I said, I'm thinking about buying mosquito nets. How do I get them there? And he said, mosquito nets, forget it. He goes, I really appreciate the fact that you're doing this, you're wanting to give back, but mosquito nets is, even if you sent them there, they're not even going to get there. Most of them will go to the government, people will take them. You'll be lucky if your money is spent well that way. So he said what the kids really need, what the people of Uganda really need is education, healthcare, and some love. And I'm involved with an organization, Children of Grace, and that's exactly what they do. And I said, well, wow, that sounds interesting. He said, I'm working on something right now. I really would like you to get involved. I said, okay, well, tell me about it. He said, well, it's communication. I'm working on a communication system that they need that we can put at the new youth center that we can communicate back and forth with the United States and we can teach from there. And that would be the education part of it. And how about donating to that? I said, well, talk to my partners. I said, we're in. Great. I said, by the way, have you ever been to Uganda? He said, no, I haven't. And he said, would you be interested in going? I said, totally, let's go. So we're on a plane 3 months later. But before I left, my wife said, 11 days? You're going for 11 days? What are you going to do there in 11 days? And why are you going, by the way? Why are you really going? I said, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. She said, well, I hope you find out, but I bless your trip and make it safe. So I get there. We go to a beautiful hotel in Entebbe, and that was the soft landing that Paul Gibson was so graciously able to give us. Jeff and Pastor Dick and my partner Chris Taylor, we get there and we're staying at the hotel, the Lakeview Hotel, and it was great. They didn't have mosquito nets, they had air conditioning, they had a bar, full bar. It was awesome. It was the great landing that I needed. Welcome to Uganda. And I said, this is going to be no problem. So we have cocktails, we go to bed, everything's great. We get up the next day and we go on a 4-hour tour of dirt and rocky roads. And the dirt is coming in the van and I'm just feeling it. I'm getting into the land. And so we finally got there and we pull up to the Sunset Hotel. This is nothing like the Lakeview Hotel. There's machine guns, there's metal detectors. And I said, is there air conditioning? They said, well, when it works. And I said, is there TV? And they said, well, maybe. And I said, okay, well, you know what? This is not an adventure. This is a journey. I'm gonna focus on the journey of why I'm going. So we go through, and we meet Marianne and Mike at the new youth center, and we're enjoying everybody, and we're meeting the children and the mentors. But I'm starting to question, why am I here? What is this? I get it. I get what you're doing. This is all nice and everything. But it wasn't until they said, it's time to separate you from your crowd, from your group here. And you're each going to have a driver, and you're each going to go with a mentor, and you're going to spend a day in the life of a mentor. And the mentor is like a social worker, for those of you who don't know, that works for the Children of Grace, and they have a file of children. They work with a group of children, and they make sure that every dime that is spent properly, and that they are getting the health care that they need, and the education that they need, and the food that they need to survive. And I was kind of getting into that part of it, and then they said, well, you get to go with Diana today, and Kaz, your driver, is going to drive you. And so I said, great. Diana said, you can go anywhere you want to go, except for I'm going to take you the first couple hours. I'm going to take you where I want to take you. I said, great. This is where it all changed. This is where my wife, I'm hearing every night, well, did you find it? Did you discover why you're there? And so I get in the car with Kaz and Diana, and we take off to the jungle. I'm talking, it took us an hour to get back there, and the roads were rocky, and it was amazing, and there was nothing around, and all of a sudden we come up to a hut. Just a hut sitting there. And I get out of the car and I see an older woman sitting on a rock, putting some beans in a pot. And then the whole reason I went is what I saw. I ran in to Caroline and Josephine sitting in the dirt, malnourished, with the snot running down their noses. They were sick. They couldn't walk. And I said, what are these babies doing here? And she said, they're 2.5 years old. And I said, oh my God, are you kidding me? That can't happen. But the problem is, and I'm embarrassed to say it, I couldn't touch them. I could not touch them because I could not invest the emotion of touching those children who have AIDS. I couldn't touch them and know that when I leave, they're going to die. I couldn't do it. So we left. And I said to Diana, as I'm driving back, I said, I got to do something. I got to do something. I mean, I didn't do anything that while I was there, but I've got to do something. So when I got back to camp, when we got back to the youth center, I grabbed Janet Gibson. And I said, Janet, I don't care what it costs. I don't care what I have to do. There are 2 children there that are dying, and we cannot let them die. You have to do something. We're leaving. Please do something. I said, just tell me how much it costs. I don't care. So Janet said, I'll take care of it. So a couple days later, we leave. And when I get home, I get an email from Janet saying, I made Plumpy Nut. I took it there. I started feeding them. And then I found a home for them. And we got them. It looks like we're going to get them in. And a couple days later, I got another email. We got them in. They're being cared for. Not only did I see that picture, I saw the other one too. That's Caroline. This is what I saw. This can't happen. And I said to Janet, okay, let me know what I owe you. She says, nothing. There is an organization that will take care of them. So as this went on for several months, they started getting better. And they're eating. And can you believe that's Caroline and Josephine? 4 months in this center, and they became well. And that's their Jaja, their grandmother, who has a smile on her face, and they're ready to go home. And the great part of this, one of the great parts of this story is they discovered that during their time of getting better, that they were retested and they didn't have AIDS.
Oh, wow.
But they could have died because the grandmother, just like me, could not stand and allow the emotions to get to her because she had already lost her family, her children, and now she was about to lose her grandchildren. So she was separating herself from them. And thank God for the children of grace for stepping in and doing something about it. So here's the next step. This is what they were going home to. And I said, well, this has been a phenomenal journey so far and great for me. What else can I do? I got to do something else. It hasn't cost me a dime. I've got to do something. I've got to pull something out of my pocket and do something. And so, being a contractor, we said, let's build them a house. So with my partner Janet over there, she put on the project manager hat, and she and with her husband Paul put together a budget, and we funded this house. And now they have a 4-room house to live in. And the kids, with their sister Jovia, participated in the building of this home. And they celebrated building the home with all their neighbors. And this is the home. What happened here was a miracle for me. Let's just talk about the cost of it. The cost of 54 by 2x4s and 200 sacks of concrete and a roof and the windows and the curtains and everything. I don't know, $3,500. The cost of putting mattresses in, a couch, maybe a table and some chairs, another $1,000. The cost of lifting the spirits of a 70-year-old woman and these children. the cost of opening their hearts and giving them hope, added to lifting the spirit and opening the heart of a 53-year-old man stuck on the 50-yard line of life, is priceless. They now have mattresses to sleep on. And you can thank Children of Grace for that. And I thank you for that. Thank you.